Let's go.
What? Hello, and
Hello.
welcome to the Brothers Game Podcast with me, Nikolai.
And me, Brian. Hello.
Today we're talking about baseball. Brian,
That's right.
who do you think has a chance this season?
Oh, boy.
Man, you know, the Mariners are really making their way up the rung with our huge defeat of the Texas Rangers yesterday. We have a chance this series. They are top of the division. We are going up from the bottom. The comeback is now, okay?
The sports are happening.
I know. Don't you agree? I mean, how about that 2-run home run by Cal Raleigh yesterday? Setting the Mariners record. Oh, my goodness. Nothing? You got no input there, Brian?
No.
Okay, here's the thing. Brian, would you describe me as a sports guy?
I wouldn't have as of about a month ago.
Like 2 weeks ago, no. But I am now. I decided, what if I watched baseball?
Yeah.
What if I decided to care about a sport? And out of all of them, baseball's the coolest, obviously. It's very American. It's pretty fun to watch.
I was always more of a basketball guy myself.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So, all right. So while we're going down this train,
Let's briefly talk about sports.
we're going to briefly
for
talk
the
about
first
sports.
time ever.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry if you don't like sports.
So at some point or other, I tried just about every sport I know of as a kid.
Uh-huh.
And I was terrible at all of them. But between the movie Space Jam and also
I mean, just Michael Jordan was so cool at that time.
there was another one that was about Michael Jordan's like childhood.
Yeah.
That was aired on like Nickelodeon. And so I was a huge Michael Jordan fan.
Right.
Basketball outside of him, whatever. But Michael Jordan in particular.
But he's so cool.
Was a huge fan of him.
I totally get that.
Thought he was so cool.
Yeah.
And so basketball, and also basketball is probably the sport I'm the best at. It's not
That's
one
true.
that I'm particularly good at, but I'm
But I
better
mean,
at it than I am at
You've got some
most
height.
other things.
I remember you. I remember you singing that basket.
Yeah.
At youth camp one time.
Yeah, actually, I'm okay at making baskets.
Yeah. So I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you also played Little League. I remember.
I did play Little League baseball. They neglected to teach me the rules of baseball or how to
So
play.
funny.
So I wasn't very effective. And I couldn't catch or throw or hit a ball, so I was
Right,
completely useless to the team. But
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah, and so like half of what I knew about baseball came from watching movies and TV. So like Space Jam,
Right.
Like literally,
Yeah.
because of when he plays baseball
Michael
early
did
in
play
in the
baseball.
movie, yeah, and like I always wanted to be the catcher because I always wanted to wear all the gear.
Oh, the gear.
Yeah.
For sure. But you got to be really good at throwing to be a catcher too.
Yeah, and catching, which
Right.
I was not
Obviously,
any good at.
that is true.
I don't think I ever actually tried traditional, like standard American football.
Yeah.
We did like
It's the one I'm least interested in.
We did
I
like
would say.
flag football or something
Yeah,
in high
yeah.
school once or twice, or
Yeah, I
middle
played
school.
that as well. In elementary school.
I also very briefly tried soccer, and actually
yeah.
that one was out of all
I
the
liked
ones to
soccer as a
play.
kid.
I think I enjoyed that one the most. I would have
Kids love
tried
playing
that a little
soccer.
more.
Yeah, I think I've always liked the vibes of baseball more than any other sport. Even as a kid, I think I really liked baseball video games. Both Mario baseball games I think are fantastic.
Yeah.
Superstar Baseball for GameCube and Sluggers for the Wii. I always enjoyed playing both of those.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason when this season started, it's very early in the season of baseball. I was like, I should just try to sort of follow it. And after I watched a few videos on YouTube just of like the basics of the rules of baseball, because you know some of the rules just by osmosis, just by living in
Right.
America.
Exactly.
You know about 3 strikes and you're out. You know about things like that.
Yeah.
But learning a lot of specifics was very helpful in watching it.
Yeah.
Because now, and I definitely know it, way better than I ever have. And I landed on the Mariners as a team to be a fan of.
They're like the local major league
They
team
are
to us.
Yeah, it made the most sense for a bunch of reasons. Some of which are important to this podcast. Yeah, obviously just distance, like proximity. They are the closest MLB team. we're in, Northwest Oregon, which is fairly close to Washington and therefore Seattle. And Oregon does not have a major league team.
Yeah.
We have a well-known minor league team in the Hillsboro Hops.
Yeah.
And they're connected with the Diamondbacks,
Yeah.
which is an MLB team, a little more south. Anyway, but mostly the reason I chose the Mariners is that they used to be completely owned by Nintendo. For a long time, they were owned by Nintendo and had a partnership with them. Now they are not owned by Nintendo, but they are still affiliated and sort of have this ongoing relationship. And this season in particular, for the first time, they're having like branded sleeves. And so in home games, they always have a red Nintendo patch logo on the side of their, on their left arm. And then in away games, they have a larger patch with the Switch 2 logo.
Nice.
To advertise for the Switch 2. So I thought that was super cool and totally made sense for me. Now, when I was learning about the Mariners a little bit and started watching them, I've watched every game for the past week and a half or so. I've watched probably, I think, 8 games so far.
Okay.
I was a little sad to learn that the Mariners are not a good team. I shouldn't say that. Basically, they're just not one of the top teams.
Yeah.
They're not often the bottom, and they're often in like the playoffs going to the World Series. But I don't think they've ever like competed in like the one-on-one final of the World Series.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but we just had an amazing last 2 games where we're making a comeback here, so I'm pretty excited about that. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm watching baseball, and it's pretty fun, actually, especially when like cool, weird stuff happens. And it's like, oh, okay, this is all right. And my wife is kind of into it too, so it was easy. Anyway, let's stop talking about sports.
Yeah.
In the video game podcast.
Yeah,
But hey, it was Nintendo related. So.
Right. And speaking of Nintendo, we obviously need to talk about the Switch 2 Direct.
We're talking about topical things.
Like everybody else.
Yeah. Could you believe they're $400?
My gosh.
The game is like $400. I can't believe you're defending them. Okay, anyway.
No.
Oh, this is crazy.
We're going to be talking about price for sure. But
Absolutely.
Before that, the Switch 2 looks cool.
Oh, it looks so cool. It looks so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
the day pre-orders go up, I'm pre-ordering one. Like I've never done that, but I'm going to make that happen.
I'm not sure I'll pre-order. I think I might just
I want
wait
that thing day one, man.
until I can just get one. But it's just going to be, it's going to come down to can I get it at MSRP?
Right.
And
of course. So good news in that way. Basically, they've said that Nintendo is stockpiling consoles and that they're already in America. Like they've already been shipped here and that they're stockpiling millions and millions of units to try and meet demand because they don't want scalpers either.
Right.
So,
because I know for some pre-orders, I don't know if this applies here in America. I know it applies in Canada, but they talked about needing to have had a Switch Online subscription for a certain length of time and a certain amount of playtime.
That is the thing.
I've never had a Switch Online subscription, so I may not be able to.
Sure.
I may not qualify to pre-order.
Probably. I love that personally.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's super anti-scalper. Basically, they're trying to weed out people like that, and so
I don't really have a problem with it myself. Yeah. So yeah,
and I easily fit that. Like I've had online for over a year, for a couple of years now. So yeah. So that would be awesome. And if you get the bundle that comes with Mario Kart World, the game is like $50.
Yeah,
that's a $30 savings. That's pretty good. So that's pretty cool.
I'm interested in if the Switch 2 version of Scarlet Violet will fix some of its problems.
That is really interesting. So like, there's a big difference between games that are getting a full upgrade pack for the Switch 2 edition,
right,
and then games that are just getting a performance update, like a free update,
right.
So I mean, I don't think it'll be as big of a jump as it could have been But of course, they're going to focus on the new Pokemon games. They usually don't go back in time, especially the Pokemon company. So
and like even though Legend ZA is going to release on Switch 1, because I'll probably have a Switch 2 by the time the game releases, I might as well get the Switch 2 version.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to be worth it for that performance upgrade.
Thankfully,
a solid 60 FPS Pokemon game sounds amazing.
Thankfully, all of my Switch games, apart from I think one, are either first party or Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
So they should all run beautifully.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely going to favor their first party games, of course. But there is even third party games that'll have a Switch 2 edition. So, I think the fact I can switch over, I can system transfer everything to the Switch 2 and then just sell my original Switch is pretty amazing. I think even like Nintendo's always been pretty good about backwards compatibility. I mean, the Wii, for instance, is a complete GameCube also, you know? But this is just like taking it up a notch. I have no qualms with getting rid of my old Switch. I actually wanted to comment
on that. So I got some insight from someone who has worked on games and who talked about how and I also sort of went over this when I was talking about hardware emulation, but when you are designing a game, you are writing it for a particular CPU instruction set.
Right.
And unlike with PCs, where it's been x86 for like 50 years or whatever, the architecture changes with every generation. So a Switch 2's architecture is not the same as a Switch 1's.
Yeah.
And so the way they got around that with like Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS is they literally have the hardware of the old generation on the console.
Yeah.
So a 3DS has DS hardware in it,
Yep.
which is why it can play DS games.
So true.
So with Switch 2, they are not doing that. They are doing essentially emulation instead.
Yep. I've heard from other developers too that have said that was kind of difficult because they mentioned even during the Direct that the Switch 2 was built from the ground up completely, basically.
Yeah.
It's not a Switch 1 at all. And so, saying every game needs to be backwards compatible was tough for some developers, I think, for sure. But Nintendo's always done that kind of with the hardware thing, like even in the Super Nintendo days, the Super Game Boy.
Yeah.
Or the Super Boy, whatever. It's like a cartridge that you put in the Super Nintendo that has a Game Boy cartridge in it. And you can play Game Boy games on your SNES. It's literally an entire Game Boy in that cartridge that just plays through the SNES on the TV. It's like hilarious.
Yeah.
So, but I love their commitment to making it backwards compatible and like fully being able to move everything over.
It's interesting how that's gone back and forth because, like, obviously the GameCube was not in any way backwards compatible to the N64.
Right. For sure.
And that didn't really bother people.
Anybody. Yeah. Really interesting. It's like at the time, that kind of thing didn't matter. The new thing was all that mattered, kind of.
Yeah. And yet it seems like on every other console it mattered. Like with the Xbox 360, it was backwards compatible with like 80 to 90% of games, but not like MechAssault.
Right, for some reason,
For some reason. PS2 was mostly backwards compatible, but like it almost seemed random which titles worked and which ones didn't. And then PS3, it was like it depended on which version of it you got.
PS3 was so weird.
Yeah. That reminds me of something that I didn't write in my notes, but PS3. Briefly.
PS3. We're going on a PS3 tangent. I've never owned one.
Briefly, PS3. Right. Neither of us have ever owned one at the time of the 360 PS3 Wii era. I
just thought it was too expensive mostly. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So the reason I didn't get one is because it had no exclusives I cared about.
Right.
So I just recently looked at the list of exclusives that never got ports or never got ports.
Yeah.
That are still PS3
Stuck
exclusive.
on the PS3.
They might have had remakes for other consoles, or remasters.
Sword
But
or
this
whatever.
is just this is not including remakes or remasters. This is just
Yes.
so there was, and there's a bit of a list, but out of all the ones I saw, these are the only 3 that stuck out in my mind at all. The rest of them were completely forgettable. Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
That's probably
original,
the main one, because there's not really anything else exactly like it, and
It was
never
a new,
really got any
unique.
It never
thing,
got ported to anything or anything like that. Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh wow, MGS4. You can't play that anywhere else?
I don't think so.
Are you sure that's not on PC?
I'm pretty sure that at least that version of that
Wow,
game is only on the PS3.
Interesting.
And I'll be honest, I don't even remember the third one.
Yeah, because who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. That's always been what's kept me with the Nintendo is exclusives. So
Yeah. Well, that's the reason I buy a console in the first place, generally speaking, is exclusives or promise of future exclusives.
Yeah.
Because
and now Sony and Xbox are just moving away from exclusives, basically. So what's the point?
When
of
we
them?
got when we got our N64 originally, we didn't really have any games for it. I think we had maybe 1 or 2 launch titles that came with it, and they weren't Super Mario 64 even, because I got that like
Not
a
the
year
good
later.
games, yeah.
I think we had Mario Kart. I think we did have Mario Kart 64 on the day we got the N64. So if that's the case, because I'm going by memory of 25 years ago, I think we did get that. And then I remember someone had rented Smash Bros. And brought it over to our house.
Nice.
And we played it.
Yeah, I feel like I remember one of my earliest memories of it is Yoshi's Story, but I don't remember when we owned that. So.
But I think that was a couple of years after we got
Probably.
it. Yeah.
I was very young. So
Mario Party was a big one for me. But the N64, we didn't get it with me having a list of games in my head that I wanted to play beforehand.
Yeah. Unlike now, basically. Yeah.
But ever since then, every console we've gotten since then, there has been a list of games I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Right when I got it. Like, I got an Xbox so I could play Halo 2. Period. That was the only reason I got it. And frankly, I didn't ever own very many regular Xbox titles. I had Halo 2, Halo 1, the Halo multiplayer map pack for Halo 2. I had Fable and the Orange Box.
Yep.
And that's, I think, everything I had for the original Xbox.
I mean, Orange Box was 360, but yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I didn't even have that.
Yep.
But Phantasy Star Online, actually. I had the Xbox version
That's
briefly.
right. Yes. I actually remember that.
Which you needed Xbox Live and a Hunter's license to play.
Stupid.
On top of the fee you're already paying
So
for Xbox
ridiculous.
Live. It was dumb.
Yeah, online used to be worse and even more expensive, believe it or not, than it is now. That's so funny.
Okay, that was a long tangent. Back to Switch 2.
Switch 2. The lineup of games is ridiculous. I think I would go as far as to say I think this is the best launch title list of all time.
Okay.
I think it's the most impressive launch titles I've ever seen because of third-party support also.
Yeah.
Especially if you've never if you're like me, you've never played Elden Ring, you've never played FF7 Remake, all these things launching with Switch 2.
Yeah.
Along with Mario Kart World, which we're getting a direct for in 5 days from this recording, where we'll see even more details about it.
Because Mario Kart World is actually the
Kong-
only one I care about. But
Donkey Kong Bonanza, I care very much about.
yeah.
It looks like basically a new Banjo-Kazooie game almost.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely amazing. And the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are basically brand new to me, and I cannot wait to replay both of those games in 60 FPS, 4K basically.
Yeah. The game I'm most looking forward to is Legends EA, which is
of course,
not even
doesn't even have a
Switch 2
release date.
exclusive, but
doesn't have a release date yet. Even it is this year and fairly soon after the launch of the system.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's very impressive. And you can look at even more. There's like 100 games coming out or something. Yeah. If you count third party and everything. And so What do you think of Mario Kart World, Brad?
Looks interesting.
Looks super fun.
I never even considered a open world Mario Kart game.
Yeah.
But
I
it's interesting.
A lot of people have brought up really interesting things for kids, especially. The vibes of being able to play with your friends, even if it's in your, split screen or whatever, and just drive around. You don't have to race even. You can role play. You can do all these things that you sort of wanted to do as a kid and like explore. Like every kid tried to go to Peach's castle in that level of Mario Kart 64.
Yeah.
You always want to drive off the road and go see the castle from Mario 64. That's crazy. And that those vibes are going to be like imprinted memories for kids playing this game. And I think of my son Theo doing that. Absolutely. I think that's true. So I think it is such a good idea. They've done so many things that are such a good idea to me. Yeah.
I don't think game chat in and of itself is nothing all that crazy or exciting, but
I love that
screen
it's
sharing
integrated, but
is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Being able to just share whatever game you're playing. You don't even have to be playing the same game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be great quality. We know that. But
No,
who cares?
but that's still a very interesting idea.
And I think people are so dumb. I think it's so they argue it's like, oh, I never heard of Discord before. Huh? Who wants to have Discord? Who wants to have their computer and phone by them, or phone whatever by them while they're trying to play a Switch? Having it all integrated and seamless like that is awesome. Like, what are you talking about?
It's funny. So at least when playing console online, I have never ever used an external chat service.
Yeah.
So like Xbox has had game chat since at least 360.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it had it on the original. I think it did. Yeah, I think it had it on
think
Xbox
it did. Have
because I think I
there,
chatted with people on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I've only ever used in-game chat.
Yeah.
Now the one time I used TeamSpeak or Ventrilo or whatever was when I played WoW.
For WoW, yeah.
But that was it.
For sure. Which those services were almost for WoW, basically.
Yeah.
So
for MMOs
in general, but WoW was the biggest one. Yeah, I think basically every weird, hateful, angry take I've seen about Switch 2 is just the most chronically online posts I've ever seen. And these are just people who like doom scroll and rage bait and hate every single thing in the world. And I'm convinced most of them don't like Nintendo anyway, and they weren't going to buy one anyway, and they don't like Nintendo games anyway.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to make a fuss about it.
All right. So let's talk about price.
That was my opinion real quick, but
okay. So first of all, I want to get this out of the way.
Yeah.
If you look at the price and think, I don't want to spend that much on that thing, that is perfectly valid.
Yeah, great. Don't buy it. Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, it's your
Save
money.
Your money. Don't waste money on something that you don't think is worth buying.
Yeah.
For me, there like couple years ago, I was like, no smartphone is worth more than $400.
Yeah.
And I decided to cap myself at that. And then I, of course, immediately broke that a couple of years later and bought an iPhone. But
bought $1,000 iPhone, yeah.
I still hate the modern smartphone market. I hate how expensive, how much money you have to spend to get a good quality phone that lasts for multiple years. And I think it's perfectly acceptable to be upset at that. That being said,
however,
the things I am seeing people say are just so incredibly stupid. Okay, so like, so there's been screenshots of like, here's the cost of every Nintendo console that came out and inflation adjusted numbers. And if you look at any one of those, you can see that the price is perfectly in line with everything they've ever done.
Yeah. Very
Inflation has happened.
Yeah.
It's a thing that exists. It makes sense. The price, I'm not even a little bit surprised by it. I don't know why anybody's surprised by it.
Yeah.
And right now I'm only talking about the console pricing.
Yeah, they have very expensive like NVIDIA chips in there. Like the console's expensive to make too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
they've talked about how basically they're not making much profit on the console.
I don't understand why people are surprised, and I don't understand. And then when people say, "Oh, it should only be like $375," you're stupid.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
What world do you live in?
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the games,
Yeah.
first of all, like, I don't deny for 1 second that $90 is a lot more than 70.
Yeah. There are, first of all, I'll mention there are no $90 games.
Yeah.
That was a false read, basically.
Okay. So,
People,
but even so,
basically,
$80 is still.
people assumed that digital was always $10 less than physical. And then Jeff Keighley from the Game Awards said that Mario Kart World was $80 for digital.
Yeah.
Therefore, everyone said, oh, physical's going to be $90 then. All of those things are untrue, basically, thankfully. Okay. So, anyway, there are no $90 Switch 2 games.
So, I dug up a video that I watched when it was posted from 2018. I think it was 2018.
Okay.
And it was talking, and it was basically, it was titled something like, modern games shouldn't cost $60.
Yeah.
And it was talking about why they should be, why it's too little.
Exactly.
And so they mentioned
so true.
$60 became the AAA game price in 2005. That was 20 years ago. $60 became the standard.
Yep. How they've been able to do that this far is insane to me.
If we completely ignore the record-breaking inflation we had in the 2020s, if we ignore the global pandemic, if we ignore the supply chain shortage stuff, and we just say 2% inflation year per year since 2005, they should still already cost over $80 just from that alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Today. And so, but all those other things did happen. So
it's
the
even
fact
worse.
that it took this long for any game company to start,
shocking.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's like Costco still having the hot dog for $1.50.
Exactly, it is the $1.50 hot dog. Basically, it makes no sense in this economy. Basically,
and like that video from 2018, which is 7 years ago, was talking about like microtransactions and loot boxes and all that stuff, and
games are already over $100, right? Because of that.
Yeah. I would
people buy season passes for Call of Duty all the time.
I would much rather pay like $120 for a game that I pay that one time and never pay for it again, and I get the entire game experience
and a rich experience,
and I don't get microtransactions or any of that stuff.
Exactly.
Happily.
Yeah. Insane. Yeah, and thankfully, I think Nintendo has doubled down, and they've said, we believe Mario Kart World is such a rich experience that has a lot of replayability that we think it is worth $80.
Yeah, and
personally, people, if this got a lot of views, people would call us such Nintendo shills. But they're stupid, so who cares?
Yeah.
And I kind of am a Nintendo shell.
Yeah, I mean, but we stand Nintendo.
We're very pro Nintendo.
We're Nintendo
right?
simps. We will admit
that.
I
absolutely believe it'll be worth $80 because Tears of the Kingdom was worth $70.
Yeah,
easily. That was worth $80+, and it only cost $70.
And this was inevitable. This was going to happen.
Exactly. That's what I've said from the beginning.
AAA games were going to get more expensive.
Yeah. It was just inevitable. GTA 6, which was teased like almost a year ago now, it's near confirmed that it's going to be like $100.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised in the slightest. It's been in development for like 15 years or something. Yeah. Like, of course it's going to be $100. Like, people don't realize that how much time, effort, and money goes into these games. And
more than blockbuster movies.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like, I don't know. And just the fact that $10 is making people this mad.
Yeah.
An extra $10.
And you know
is that really what's going to make the difference to you? That's so weird.
And like, I bought Super Mario RPG for $30. So like, cheaper games aren't going away either.
Exactly. Oh, so true. Yeah, not to mention that they have other games listed for like $50 also, under $60.
Yeah,
for Switch 2. So like they're doing a pricing thing that's just going to be very up and down based on what they think the game is worth.
Yeah,
I think that's perfectly fine, and it's something they already did with the first Switch. They had games that launched at $50 or $40. Like when the Metroid Prime remake came out,
Yeah.
it was retail $40.
Yeah.
And that's like, that is a gorgeous, really cool, like highly optimized game, but they launched it at $40. So like, this isn't just Nintendo being greedy. That's just the top thing I've seen, is that Nintendo's being greedy again. And it's just, I think that makes no sense personally. So
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, it costs more. Everything costs more for everyone.
yeah,
It's not just more for us. It's also more for them. It's
yeah.
I would love it if every
basically-
game could be $30, but it wasn't even $30 in the 90s. So why would it be now?
Yeah, games were $80 back then sometimes. So, yeah. Basically, don't buy it if you don't want to. If you do want to buy it, that's super cool. I'm definitely going to buy it. I think it's going to be fun. How about that?
Yep.
And it's like 2 months away.
Yeah.
It's like it's coming out very soon.
Yeah. And
Which is crazy.
I'm not even sure I'm going to buy that many Switch 2 titles, but I'm going to enjoy having a Switch
A
that
better Switch, basically.
plays better. Yeah.
I think it's cool that they're also optimized. It's very Nintendo of them to optimize older technology, basically. It has an LCD screen,
Right.
and not
it
an
doesn't
OLED
have the OLED,
screen.
which I don't care because mine's going to be docked 99% of the time anyway.
Yeah, but people have done in-person comparisons to the OLED Switch and a Switch 2, and the Switch 2 looks better.
Yeah.
And no one knows why or how they did that, but the colors look better. It's brighter. It's like more vivid. I don't know how they did that. But
I don't
that's amazing.
I don't own an OLED display on anything anywhere, and I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, I have the Vita that has an OLED, and it looks very nice.
Yeah.
But not like worlds better than my Switch. I don't know. I don't care so much about
Like-
those things. So.
Like, until OLED gaming monitors get really cheap, I'm not going to probably have one
Yeah.
anytime soon, and
And
my
the
TV's
fact-
not going to be OLED.
And the fact that it's like, oh yeah, you can get the OLED version for like $200 more. I don't know how in the world that's worth it.
Yeah.
For a very small bump in picture quality.
No.
Yeah,
I do like that the Switch 2 dock has an Ethernet jack
definitely. Yeah, that's really nice.
and a fan.
Yes,
That's cool.
the fan is very smart.
Cool.
I love that the little things like there's 2 charging ports on it, 2 USB-Cs, one on
Right.
the bottom, one on the top. Just the versatility in that is really cool. I love that the new Pro controller has a headphone jack in the bottom. So you can like be on your TV, but still with headphones. I loved that about the PS4.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing. So yeah. And just the fact it's as powerful as a PS4 Pro, which we were all hoping for, basically. It's just amazing. The fact, like, Cyberpunk and games like that will look better than they did on PS4 on a Nintendo console is just the dream to me. I think Switch 2 is basically at the ceiling to me of graphics, or as far as modern graphics go. More powerful, I don't care about, and probably wouldn't notice anyway, personally. So the fact we have that on a Nintendo console that can be handheld is just very exciting to me personally. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care about the fidelity as much as I want smoothness and responsiveness and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think even if it was just really solid 30 FPS, that's fantastic. Like, that's beautiful. I love that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
A 30
so-
FPS that doesn't ever tank.
Yeah.
That's more than good enough for me.
And they say docked, it'll be 60.
Yeah. Or docked,
solid,
it should be 120, right?
Up to 120.
Up to 120.
With certain games, I think. But if it's solid 60 across the board docked, that's amazing. That's insane to me. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm all about that. I forgot to mention Metroid Prime 4 as well.
Yeah.
Will be a launch title. And that looks gorgeous, too. Retro Studios always does a good job, basically. So that's really exciting. Because I love the Prime games, so that'll be really cool. And, of course, we didn't mention it'll have GameCube. It has a GameCube emulator. Freaking Wind Waker will be on there.
I was interested to see Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness.
Yeah, dude, the games they teased it's like they're purposely going for games that are super expensive
Yeah.
on the retro market, because it also included Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which that game is like minimum $500 if you want it for the GameCube.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, having both Pokemon games is surprising, actually, because they never talk about those two games, basically.
Yeah.
Gale of Darkness, especially. I don't think those games are especially good, actually, in my opinion. But I think that's super cool that they're going to be available. And as much as I prefer Wind Waker HD, just having Wind Waker on the Switch at all will be very exciting. And it'll be, like optimized graphics. It'll be a lot smoother, even just being on better hardware. So I think that's really cool. And we already have so many good GameCube games that have been ported. I mean, you can play Pikmin 1 and 2. You got the remake of Thousand Year Door. You got the remaster of Metroid Prime. Like, they've already got some of the best, heavy hitters on there. The 3D All-Stars has Mario Sunshine. So, like, yeah. As a GameCube head, I'm very excited. And I really want to get the controller. They always put out a controller that's, like, wireless and made for that. I really want that GameCube controller. I snagged the N64 controller, which is amazing. The wireless Switch N64 controller is so good. I was just playing with it last night, but yeah, very excited about that. I'm really curious to see what weird games they put on there. If they put, like, I don't know, Cubivore and just like any of the Mario sports games would be great. They're all so good on the GameCube. Power Tennis, Toadstool Tour. I really hope they put Superstar Baseball on there.
Yeah.
I love Mario Superstar Baseball. They did tease Strikers, the soccer one, which was really fun too. Great aesthetic on that game. Anyway, very excited. We didn't mention the mouse controls also.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I love just the options that brings. And somebody made the coolest quick video about them at one of these, influencer events where they were actually, playing the console. And he was playing Metroid Prime 4, which supports mouse controls too. For those people who love aiming with a mouse for some reason. And he was talking about, like, he assumed, I want to try these mouse controls. He's like, I'll probably have to go, pause, go into settings, switch to mouse controls. He said, nope. I just put it down like a mouse and it just worked. Like, there was a seamless transition from stick and button controls to mouse controls. And he was like, that was awesome. Like, that was really impressive. Like, yeah.
The thing it immediately made me think of, and I don't know if this is going to be possible, but was playing Mario Paint.
Yeah, I know. I think it's totally possible.
Yeah.
Right?
What I don't know is whether Mario Paint is possible to be played on a Switch too, but if it is,
well, that'd
be a
they
really
already have
cool application
the
for
Super
it.
Nintendo stuff on the Switch Online.
Yeah.
They could just add Mario Paint to that as just one of the Super Nintendo games.
That'd be awesome.
I absolutely think they'd be insane not to do that. Like, come on.
It's the only console game I've ever played with a mouse.
Yeah. And it was super fun. We loved playing that game. So, especially, the Fly Swatter game and stuff. I think that's like a no-brainer. I really hope they do that. Speaking of launch title, I forgot again. There's so many good launch titles. Freaking a new Kirby Air Ride.
Yes, that's right.
Like, holy crap. Kirby Air Riders coming out of nowhere.
That's one of those games that was made for people like us.
Yeah, seriously. I know, right? A new Metroid Prime and a new Kirby Air Ride. Like, what is this? What's happening? Yeah, it's like, I mean, they didn't show much gameplay or anything, but it is Masahiro Sakurai working on it. So thank God it'll feel like a Kirby game,
Yeah.
And I mean, we have spent countless hours in City Trial.
Yeah.
Like, I saw like the best post just of like the map from City Trial, and it said like, I'm not from there, but I know my way around, or something like, it's not my home, but it is my home. Yeah, I mean, we played that constantly with 4 friends. That is the best game type of all time.
And it's funny, we've tried other parts of the game, and none of them
they're fine.
matter to us at all. They're just like whatever. But that game is very fun.
So good.
And one of the things about it is like one, it's very easy to pick up really quickly.
Yeah, anyone can play that.
In general, when we bring someone in who has never played before, we're like, don't worry too much about like doing anything correctly. You will get a feel for it.
Go nuts. Yeah.
And so just go for a few rounds. So we keep the round time fairly short and just let it restart
quick little games.
over and over. And so we'll play like 10, 15 rounds or something that are all like really short, and it's really fun that way.
It's so quick and
keeps
fun.
everything fresh.
And like, yeah, it's just one of those games where you're playing and having a blast, and all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. with people. Like, it's just perfect. So, and I'm sure they'll improve the other aspects, the actual normal like race air ride version and stuff. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I'm sure there'll be new cars and new maybe different city trial maps or something. Like, they could do all kinds of stuff. So super hyped for that. And that's a launch title too, I believe. So, or at least coming this year. So I love that every game they've shown is coming out this year. There's no teasers where they're like, this will be out in 3 years from now. Which is always annoying.
Yeah.
And just the fact that the console's coming out in like 2 months, we don't have to wait another year for it or something.
Yeah.
I like that they do that. Keeps the hype alive a little bit, I think. The more I've seen of the open world aspects of Mario Kart World, I realized that it's like a little kid version of GTA a little bit.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. I never would have expected this from a Mario game, but it totally makes sense also for Mario Kart. So, and just the fact it's going to have like 80 plus characters. Yeah. Including every like random enemy from every Mario game ever, basically. Everyone's talking about the cow, of course, the very cute cow from Moo Moo Meadows. I saw a screenshot of one of people at the Mario Kart World Experience or whatever, and it was like 12 racers, and they were all the cow. Like every single one of them was playing as the cow. Ridiculous. But I saw the snowman, and I was like, the snowman, like the one from Paper Mario.
Oh yeah,
that has like the yellow scarf and the blue bucket hat. I'm like, what the heck?
I noticed that. I'm like, yeah,
that's amazing.
Because it could have been a snowman from like Super Mario 64, but no, they chose the Paper Mario one.
That's the one from Paper Mario. I love it. Yeah, I love that, being able to just be any random enemy, like the dolphin, like just. The weird little duck things from Mario Sunshine that like waddle around and throw you up in the air. Yeah. You could be one of those. Yeah. Anyway, I love that. I think that's super fun. And there's like super cool costumes too. Every character is going to have like 8 different costumes that are very stylized and weird. And yeah, it looks like a very cool game. An interesting, bad thing somebody said. I don't know. I'm blanking on that word. That's so stupid. Criticism.
Oh, okay.
Is that there's the carts don't have parts to switch through, like the different wheels and stuff. To me, that's like a huge plus to the game. I thought that was annoying, and I didn't want to have to think about that. And these are people who are like min-max and like want to speed run the game basically. But I'm like, I want the coolest looking cart. I want the funnest looking cart. I don't care. I don't want to like think about, do I want top speed or acceleration? It's Mario Kart. I just want to throw shells and race people. So I think it's a huge plus for me. So yeah, basically every criticism I've seen, I have not agreed with. So call me a shill, but I like Nintendo games. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. What else you got, Brian? You got notes still?
Yeah, so I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So some of it's going to be spilling over into into our next episode. But
for sure,
I wanted to just wrap up a couple of things that I've talked about in the last episode. So I have finished the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition Battle for Greece Grand Campaign.
Greasy.
Where you play as... You start with as the Persians, then you play as the Athenians, and then you play as the Spartans.
Nice. Did you say this is Sparta?
Yes. And yeah, that was all right. So
All right.
it was all right. Yeah.
A ringing endorsement from Bride of the Brothers Game podcast.
So I finished all that.
Sorry, I just thought of a trailer for Age of Empires 2, and it's like, quote, it was all right, Bride Brothers Game podcast.
That's right.
Review. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Only the realist reviews here at the Brothers Game. I did find that there's like 2 or 3 expansions that I still don't have. Wow. So
that is a never-ending game. It sounds like
it just keeps growing. But there was one that was really challenging. I think I actually talked about it on the last episode, but it was
okay.
But I did manage to get through it, and none of the rest of them were quite that challenging.
Okay.
So that's really all there is to say about that. I don't have. I've taken a break from anime, and I'm back onto video games. I mean, me and Mom are still watching Kingdom Mosaic a little bit here and there.
On anime for a little bit there.
Yeah. Trying to get through some backlogs, both in terms of anime and video games.
It's so funny with anime like Kiniro. It's like, it's super cute and very enjoyable and kind of hard to get through the whole thing.
Yeah.
A little bit, I feel like. And that happens with Lucky Star, even anime that I love. I feel like when they're not super story driven, it's easy to just kind of not watch it for a couple days and then you don't watch it ever again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just easy to drop off of because it's not like there's this mystery you're trying to like see the end of or something. And they're just hanging out or whatever. So
yeah,
I've always
you're not
that
like
about those anime.
waiting with bated breath at what happens next.
Gotta see the next episode
because it's completely episodic.
Yeah. But anyway, it can still be great and be like that. But anyway.
And I'm still reading the Haruhi Light novels. So I'm on I believe it's the last physically printed, or the most recent physically printed English translated volume.
I forget what it's called, actually.
I think it's the Intuition.
It is Intuition. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So have you finished the first story with the festival?
Yes. Okay. So I'm on to Tsuruya's Challenge.
Tsuruya's Challenge. Yeah. So they're talking about mystery novels, Japanese mystery novels.
A whole like 20 pages of Koizumi and another student talking about mystery novels.
The new girl.
Yeah.
Yes. From the like mystery society or whatever, the mystery club or whatever. She's interesting. Yeah. Bringing in this new blonde character.
Yeah, and she's a foreigner, so she actually doesn't read Japanese super well, but she can speak it perfectly
really
fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Their talks made me want to read mystery novels.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh man, sounds so interesting.
Never been
the Poison Chocolate Murders.
I've never been super into mystery, but it's always been
mystery and detective
vaguely
stuff,
interesting.
So, yeah. I love one of my favorite things in the world is Columbo. So.
Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever actually read a straight up mystery novel before. Yeah. But I mean I've watched super detective shows and those are fun, like Monk and The Mentalist and
all those.
Psych and
Yep. Yeah, the classic Sherlock stuff and all that. But
and the Sherlock movies I've seen.
Yeah. The Robert Downey ones.
A few. Yeah. So I saw the Robert Downey ones. I saw the Sherlock show with Benedict Cumberbatch. Right. I saw a made for TV movie with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wow, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. And I think he was the villain. What's his name again?
Vincent. He was Moriarty, right?
Yeah, Moriarty.
Yeah, he's great. Gosh, Vincent's always so good. But yeah,
underrated actor, I think.
Yeah, his Kingpin stuff right now is fantastic. He's so good as Kingpin.
Yeah.
Anyway, good stuff.
Yep. There are 2 games that I have started and finished since our last recording that I'm going to talk about in our next episode.
Yeah, we don't have time to get into that. But.
So I think the last topic I'll leave us off on is I watched a video about why does why do video game water levels have music that makes it sound like it's underwater?
Yeah.
What
So
is it
drippy.
that makes that happen? And so someone did a kind of in-depth analysis on it. It was very interesting. They so there are levels where there's got like island music,
Yeah.
and so it
Sunshine.
reminds you of places that are near the water.
Yeah. Very big difference between water levels and beach levels.
Yes.
To me. Yeah.
And so there's that, and then with underwater levels, there's and they articulated it so much better than I'll be able to.
Of course, but yeah.
And it's been like
Those-
a couple weeks now
Those
since I
video
watched
essay
it, but
people, you know.
it had to do with like chord structure and like how it flowed to it. They'd often use like a swing
Flowed
feel.
like water.
Yeah, but they'd use like a swing feel or something,
Okay.
and like the very movement of the music was kind of water like, and then obviously just throw in some water splash sound effects too to
Yeah, that
really
happens,
add
too.
to the. Obviously, lots of synthesizers and stuff, but there's that
Lot of
in non-water levels too, so that's not necessarily unique to that.
It's also a lot slower, I feel like, just in general.
yeah, sometimes.
Because right now I'm thinking of Dire Docks
Mm-hmm.
from Mario 64 and Aquatic Ambiance from Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
One of the most iconic water music pieces. And yeah, they're very atmospheric, a little slower, and like very kind of moody actually,
and
but
there's
not
this-
like nighttime, but
yeah,
water
and
specifically.
there's this like rise and fall to it.
Yeah,
too.
definitely. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of water levels like that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas island stuff is always more upbeat.
Yeah,
It's like we're having fun and hanging out
Mm-hmm.
more than, oh, I'm underwater and it's mysterious.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I
Very
also
interesting.
think of the underwater levels in Bomberman Hero.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that has such good music.
yeah,
Bomberman Hero is so underrated,
Mm-hmm.
under talked about. I wonder if there's video essays about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are. Speaking of that kind of thing, I recently got into a new YouTuber. I've been watching Annie Austin's videos.
okay.
He's most known for he makes videos about like how employed or unemployed places are, like
Okay.
towns in Skyrim. He
Oh,
analyzes the unemployment rate of video game towns and stuff.
Okay, that's interesting.
People think that's very funny, so he does that. Like he did it with Delfino Plaza and Mario Sunshine. And he like talks about how the economy is there. It's
Yeah.
so stupid. But I mostly like his videos that are odd or boring places in games. He finds the cracks in a game, basically.
Yeah.
Like weird little areas that have nothing in them, but that just have to exist in a 3D space.
Yeah.
Like if there's two important cool things, there has to be stuff in the middle because it's a 3D world.
Right.
And he loves just going there and looking around. And he's like,
Yeah.
look at how nothing is here. This is so weird.
I do sometimes. I'll find a little spot and be like, why did they put this here?
Yeah.
Why did they waste effort on making this? Because there's nothing here. There's
just
nothing to
nothing.
do.
Yeah. And in some games, it's more. Some games, it feels like that. It feels like this is stupid. Like they're dumb and bad designers for making this. But then there's places in like Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
that where there's nothing, but it's so atmospheric and grounding in the world.
Yeah.
Where you're like in awe a little bit instead of like, this is stupid. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
So he talks about, and he gets like really philosophical with this stuff, and then he stops and goes, this is so stupid. Why am I talking about this? But and he's good at it. He's really
Yeah.
good at sounding very like, philosophical about these games.
Yeah.
He really does come at video games as a 3D art medium and not as just a game. Like he
Yeah.
talks about it and analyzes it like it's art, which is really interesting and makes me think about stuff a little differently. Because I agree with a lot of what he says.
Yeah.
And he also just has a series about skybox appreciation, where he just looks at every skybox from various levels in like Mario 64. He did one on Banjo. He did one on the Zelda game, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, stuff like that. He's our age, so he does a lot of N64.
Yeah.
But also, those games just have a weird atmosphere to them. I feel like N64 games have a vibe that is different than any other games. I feel like, which he agrees with and talks about a lot. But anyway, it's just made me want to walk around games a little more, which I've always loved. I've always been like that. Just like, especially in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I can just walk around and have a blast, basically, and really appreciate everything.
Yeah, I do like exploring the world
yeah.
in a game, for sure.
And yeah, there's something about a game that can be so cohesive in its language and just vibe, from music to skybox to weather, whatever, that nothing can be going on and you're still kind of like immersed. And I think that's why Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are so beloved, is that kind of thing. But also games like Skyrim has that, I think, which he talks about a lot. He talks about Skyrim a lot too. Anyway, it's just very interesting. And it made me also even more excited to replay Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on their Switch 2 editions, which I forgot to mention are free for me.
Yeah.
So most of the time, there's two different types of upgrade packs. So things like Breath of the Wild will have a $10 upgrade.
Right.
Where if you already have the game, you just need to buy the $10 upgrade and you can have the Switch 2 edition. But then there's games like Kirby and the Forgotten World is getting an additional DLC, sort of, like an additional little thing to play through. Kind of like Bowser's Fury for Mario 3D World. And so that'll be $20 as an upgrade.
Yeah.
Because it's also kind of DLC. But they confirmed that if you have Switch Online with the expansion pass, those upgrade packs will be free. I think the cheaper $10 ones will be totally free. So I already have those Zelda games, so I just get to play those for free. That's amazing. Which, by the way, the expansion pass to me has been more than worth it. It's because I've gotten the Animal Crossing DLC for free. I've gotten all the upgrade packs and maps for Mario Kart 8, which they released, 24 different, new courses and whatever. I got all of those for free. Like the N64, online thing with all the games.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it. I think that's only with the expansion pass. And it's like $60 a year. I'm like, that's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'll have GameCube games later. I'll have, these upgrade packs. So I don't know. I play it enough, I guess, that it's a no-brainer for me to have that. But I know for you, you're like, you've never cared. But
Yeah. I've never had a Nintendo Online subscription of any kind, but
it's so funny. Like, I saw someone mad that you can only use game chat with an online subscription. I'm like, yeah, no freaking duh.
like,
You can't play online with your friends anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't have an online subscription. Of course you don't. Every console has an online subscription. What are you talking about? You just don't like Nintendo. You're just mad. Okay. Anyway. Why so mad? Yeah, it's like, I don't know. If you defend Nintendo, you like big business and you're just you're evil. You're a capitalist pig.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me, Brian.
Yeah. I like when people point out that, like, the same people that complain about Switch 2 are the same people who are like, oh, PS5 Pro is great. Like,
I love it. I love paying $100. Actually, I love it. Yeah. And someone was like, oh, it's like over $1,000 to get every accessory and stuff. Who on earth buys every single game and accessory all at the same time?
Right.
Like all in one purchase from GameStop or whatever. No one in the world, 1% of people getting a Switch 2 will get every accessory and thing with it. Like, are you R-word? Because it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. That's the R word I was talking about. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's very silly to me. $500 for a Switch 2 with Mario Kart World is great to me. Makes perfect sense.
No.
Of course, it's on hold. Pre-orders are on hold. They're talking about, tariffs and whatever. But first of all, they've already lowered all the tariffs to 10% if you're not from China. And from a recent article, it looks like phones and electronics are now exempt from those tariffs. So it's extremely unlikely anything will go up in price from Nintendo. Yeah. Thank goodness. Plus the fact that the consoles are already in America. They've already been shipped here. Like GameStops and Walmarts already have them in hand. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not worried about that at all. So yay. I can't wait.
Nope.
Yeah. So for my birthday, I want Switch 2 money. Just give me money towards my Switch 2. How about that? So I'm in a conundrum a little bit because GameStop is offering like $125 for your original Switch.
Oh,
traded in towards a Switch 2. But then I can't do a system transfer. I don't have my Switch anymore.
Right.
So I don't know what to do about that. But here's the thing. I have a Switch Lite.
Right. So
I might be able to do a system transfer to everything to my Switch Lite, which has a larger SD card anyway. And then just transfer that. So I'm going to look into that.
Okay.
And see if I can just do that. Yeah. Because that would be awesome. Because that's $120 off. That would be amazing, So.
Yeah.
And I can keep, because I have 2 sets of Joy-Cons. I have my blue ones that are just normal, and then I have my special edition Skyward Sword ones, and I can just keep those and trade in the blue ones with the console. So,
yeah,
because I want to keep those. I love that. And they did confirm all the old controllers and stuff will work with Switch too. So,
that's another thing was everybody was like, oh, they should use Hall effect sticks. Oh, they're not going to use Hall effect sticks. Oh, it's crap.
It's so stupid. Like, if you're not using every latest thing, you're stupid.
And like
Nintendo never has.
Ignoring the fact that the PS5 and Xbox also don't use Hall effect sticks. So
incredible. Yeah. They've always used old, like reliable hardware, and they've remade the sticks from scratch. Like they're not going to have stick drift, and if they do, it's going to be very minimal. Not to mention the PS5 has stick drift. Yeah. People complain about it all the time, but it's only a bad thing if it's Nintendo doing,
right?
Because for some reason people love dogging on them. I don't know. It's very weird to me, but whatever. It's still going to sell incredibly well, and that will shut them up, I guess. So, yep. That's it.
Yep.
That's the podcast. Go watch baseball. It's pretty fun.
Go Twitter or something.
Hey, follow us on X at the Brothers G Pod. Thanks for liking and subscribing, because you did if you're cool.
If you're watching obviously. On YouTube, at least. And otherwise, please download the podcast everywhere you can, anytime you can. Always and forever.
Anywhere. Listen to the Brothers Game Podcast, where we talk about Nintendo and baseball. Bye.
Bye.